Stephen Correño, KR Artist Sports. We're here with the one and only Seniesa Superbad Estrada. How cool is this? How cool is this? You know, like your pro debut with Top Rank. Obviously not. You know, you're debuting with Top Rank, rather promotional debut on ESPN. You know, it's been a long time, right? It's been almost close to a year. Talk about the emotions going into Saturday night.
Yeah, it's been almost a year. I think, if my math is right, 328 days since my last fight. So I'm just really excited and just happy to be back. I just feel like I'm back at an even better time for women's boxing. Even like I've been out of the ring for that long, and 11 months I felt like I was missing out on so much. But now that I'm back, I'm like, man, like women's boxing has had such an incredible year, like the best year ever. So now I feel like I'm just back at an even better time for women's boxing.
Right. No, you're coming back just in time. Talk about that moment right now at the press conference. You're talking about Dean and how, you know, Dean's been with you since you were, you know, a little girl. And I've heard you in interviews talk about, you know, when I was, you know, that age, there wasn't a whole lot of people to look up to. It was just dream, and it's like a hope and a prayer kind of, you know what I mean? Like hopefully this could happen. Talk about just the transition that you are to where you are now.
Yeah, coming up when I first started boxing, there was not many women to look up to, not many girls fighting, not many women fighting, and then going into the pros, it was the same thing. Like there was no big promoter signing women weren't fighting on TV and being televised, so it was just a very slow start for me into the pros. And then I finally got the opportunity to sign with Golden Boy Promotions, and that's kind of where like the breakthrough of women's boxing started happening, especially after the 2012 Olympics for women. And actually it probably took till the 2016 Olympics for it to actually start to even grow even more and even quicker. So now women's boxing is in a position that I've always known it would be at, but I just didn't know when. I just had to have so much patience, and sometimes I like lost patience. Right. but yeah, and I've always known it would be where it's at right now.
You were kind of the forefront of these big women fights. I mean, you and Marlen fought in 2019, I think, or something like that. You know, it was like 3 years ago. And you did the 3-minute rounds as well, which I feel like, you know, I mean, we've had some amazing female fights this year, but they've all been, you know, 2 minutes. I feel like you were really kind of, I mean, we haven't even gotten to where you've already done, right? Like you did the 3-minute fights. You did kind of the major fight against your rival. Do you feel you were maybe like a little ahead of the curve when it came to that? I mean,
yes, I was just talking to somebody about that. I can't remember who, but they were telling me like, man, like your fight with Esparza was like premature, you know? Like you guys should have, like you should have waited for that. That fight should have been made now. And I mean, I thought the same thing. Even my team thought the same thing. Like my dad, I mean, Dean didn't want me to take the fight when it was offered to me because he was like, you guys like just both got signed. Like you guys, the rivalry needs to build up. Like there's no build up to it. But you know, I wanted to do it because I wanted to just shut her up so badly. So I wanted to fight her. But no, he's right. And I think the build-up just wasn't enough. And I think now with these great women's boxing matchups now, where women's boxing is now, our first fight would have been like huge right now. But when we do fight again, it would be huge because women's boxing will be even further than what it is now.
Is that really a fight you want? I feel like you won that fight pretty handily, I think. You know what I mean? I know she's maybe the biggest name around your division that there is. Is that maybe the reason why you are still talking about it, is because there maybe aren't other stars in and around your area that, you know, your weight class that can build a big fight like that?
I think, well, like money-wise, I can be paid what I want and what I'm happy with fighting any other champion. But I know a rematch between her and I is something that the fans would love to see, and like it'll be huge for the both of us. So, but my goal is to be undisputed at 105, 108, and then go to 112 and fight her. So after that, you know, hopefully she continues to win and get world titles, so that way I can take them from her.
Right. Exactly. I love it. I feel like I was at the forefront of your guys' beef, and I was a fan, kind of just being like, oh man.
Yeah. And these rivalries is something that, of course, it's great in boxing, but people love to see it in women's boxing because it just shows that we're competitive and we're going to go on in there and put on a hell of a performance. And it's something that boxing fans want to see and need to see from women's boxing. And I think, like with that being said, I forgot my mind just went blank.
Right. Me too. I was thinking about my next question. I forgot what I asked you anyway too. So I was like, what? I understand. You got to weigh in tomorrow. Of course you're thinking of pizza. I did have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. So I remember what I was going to say with that. Fuck, I just forgot again.
Got it again. It's all good. We'll come back to it. We'll get back to it. What was I going to say? With the 3-minute round thing, I know the WBC is the sanctioning body basically that doesn't allow 3-minute rounds. But you've pushed for the 3-minute rounds with Marlen. I don't know what belt that was for, but the WBA.
Yes, the WBA. So here's how it works. So the opponent has to agree to doing 3 minutes. The State Athletic Commission of where you're fighting has to agree, and then the bout organization has to agree. If all three agree, then you can fight 3-minute rounds. So unfortunately, since WBC is just totally against it, they won't even budge to even take it into consideration. So, but with every fight that I go into, I always want to at least try to get the 3-minute rounds. Ask all three and see what happens.
This one's 2 minutes. So was it her or the?
It was just the timing. We couldn't get it done in time. Yeah.
So my question was, is it maybe on you guys, the athletes, the one putting yourselves out there to maybe demand the 3 minutes for those sanctioning bodies that do allow it, like for obviously you're the A side, so you would have to tell your opponent, hey, you could take it for 3 minutes. And then maybe there's like a 2-minute champion as well. Maybe the WBC is a 2-minute champion in the division and you girls are the 3-minute. Do you think maybe that's where it has to go to try to force the 3 minutes for everyone?
Yeah, it's difficult to enforce it for everybody because there might be, I think there's probably maybe 30% of women who want to do 3 minutes and believe it or not, the rest don't. So a lot of women don't want to do 3-minute rounds. They're cool with having 2-minute rounds, and then some are saying, well, if I do 3, I want to be paid more then. So that's the issue that we're always going to have with that. So I don't think officially changing it is going to happen anytime soon. But all I can do for now is just try to have it happen for me each fight if I can.
Yeah. Part with it. I just want to talk some boxing with you. I know as a boxing fan, I'm sure you were disappointed like the rest of us. Spence Crawford didn't get done. What was your kind of reaction to that and when that whole news broke?
I'm tired of talking about that. I don't know. I really don't even care anymore about even seeing it. It kind of after a while, it kind of just fades away. But when you're like, your hopes are high for it happening, you're like, oh my God, it's gonna happen, then it doesn't. So. Yeah, I'm over it.
Right, kind of the same. I feel you on that one.
Talk about it again when
if it happens, yeah. When maybe after they're in the ring, because it's the only way it's guaranteed, right? Spence Thurman though might be the consolation prize between those two guys. Thurman's only loss is to Manny Pacquiao, but he has been out of the ring for long stretches of time. Fought Barrios, kind of got the rust off. What do you think about Thurman versus Spence if that happens?
Yeah, he's been out of the ring for a long time. I would go with Spence with that. I think Spence has looked great in his last couple fights, so I think Spence takes that fight for sure. 2
more fights I want to get your take on. Tank versus Ryan. I know you left Golden Boy, but you and Ryan are still cool. Who knows? That's another one, right? Who knows what happens? But, how do you think that speed matchup between those two guys plays out?
You know what? The great thing about that matchup is I think whoever gets caught with a good shot can get hurt because they both hit hard. And I think they both have to just come in there with the right game plan. I think it's going to be in the beginning rounds, maybe like the first 3 rounds, it's going to be kind of like a chess match, a little patient, you're not really going to see much. And then somebody's going to have to pick it up and take a risk to catch the other with a big shot. So, me, I'm Ryan's my guy, so I got Ryan for that. Yeah.
And last one, David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant. Seems like we finally got that one. We don't have a date, but it sounds like it's signed and that's done. Caleb looked good, against Durrell after the loss against Canelo, but David's kind of been the guy for a while. I feel like this is kind of his opening kind of debut to that level, right? How does that play out?
Yeah, I'm excited for him. I think that's a good fight for him. I've always liked Plant. I've always liked his movement and his style. So, and he looked great his last fight. That shot was great. Yeah. But Benavidez is a strong guy. He's an explosive guy. So I'm I'm a fan of Benavidez as well, so I'm a fan of both. So I don't know. That's a tough one for me.
Good one.
Yeah.
It's a good 50-50. We're going to see some explosion this Saturday from Seniesa. Are we going to get a knockout? Is that kind of the goal? I mean, I know that's not the goal. You're not going for it, but I mean, it's kind of the goal, right?
I mean, well, if you're forcing me to say it, I'm in there with a tough opponent. I don't overlook any of my opponents, so I'm going to go in there and do what I trained to do these past 2 months, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you so much, Seniesa. All right, yeah. So got to return the favor.
Return, yeah. Thank you. Her me.
Right, exactly. It's not going to be her. Thank you so much, Seniesa. Great to see you.